Chapter 22:03, But I Refuse. What Junglu wants to do is even more extreme. He wants to destroy Ling's human body and then drag Jang Ei out to kill him. If Jang Ei knew his plan, he would be overjoyed. Because Junglu had no idea what kind of existence Ling was. Junglu took a deep breath. The fight between the two men had lasted for more than an hour, and the basic situation had already been figured out. The opponent's attack methods, power levels, and speed are all within his control. It's time. Junglu raised his right hand, as if controlling the operation of something. Clatter. The sound of chains came quickly, and Jang Ei suddenly discovered that the egg-shaped space formed by the binding chains suddenly shrank with the rapid movement of the chains. Is he going to fight me in close combat? Jang Ei's eyes were full of shock. In this way, the space for his spatial travel ability will be greatly compressed. So, Junglu said nothing. Su Tianming had already condensed in his hands. He didn't need weapons, his body was the best weapon. A black lightning bolt broke through the air, and the afterimage created by its ultra-high-speed movement formed a long series of images on Jang Ei's retina. The storm hit, and the high-speed sonic booms whipped the air. His speed was too fast, and as the space shrank, he could quickly chase Jang Ei wherever he escaped. Fortunately, Jang Ei was able to use the ability of Second Hand of Time to predict his movements in advance. Regarding Junglu's request for a close combat, Jang Ei's attitude was, I refuse. What are you playing? As long as I can delay this, I'll win the battle below, and then I can slowly engage you in a fight. Who would fight you now? Jang Ei disappeared in a flash. However, after he appeared in an area, Junglu would quickly follow him again. After all, Jang Ei's ability is not teleportation. Space travel requires a brief delay, so the faster the enemy is, the smaller the difference in movement speed between you and him will be. Besides, there is limited space here. Soon, Junglu's fist, wrapped in the terrifying power of Su Tianming, slammed towards the dimensional gate outside Jang Ei's body. Boom! A punch hit Jang Ei fiercely. This time, Jang Ei narrowly avoided it, but the dimensional door outside his body was shaking violently. It wasn't broken, but it felt like it was pierced by something extremely sharp. Jang Ei's pupils also shrank slightly. The strength of a night-level alien was so terrifying. It's not just about having a high supernatural power index. I'm afraid that Junglu, who has the same supernatural power index, can absolutely crush any human being if he faces one. This is the combat ability brought about by day-to-day combat training and the lizardman's powerful physical talents. Jang Ei treated Junglu more cautiously. Punch after punch, Junglu's attacks were simple and unpretentious. It seemed that after reaching a certain level, the attacks of aliens would become the purest form. The way of truth is simple. Just like no matter how sophisticated the combination lock is, there is always a way to crack it, but building a wall with a whole piece of steel plate will make thieves desperate. This battle with Junglu made Jang Ei realize for the first time how the powerful civilization that survived from ancient times used supernatural powers. Fortunately, I'm not a combat-focused alien. This alien in the human world, whose attack capability has reached T0 level, said so. But Jang Ei never forgot his original intention. His offensive ability is indeed amazing, but his strongest point is his ability to survive. Although Junglu has figured out a way to break through his dimensional door. However, he was unable to crack the even more powerful Second Hand of Time, S ability to predict the next 4 seconds. As Junglu's attack approached, Jang Ei narrowly avoided it again and again. However, Junglu's attack was too fast. Jang Ei was able to predict the trajectory of his attack, so it was not easy to dodge. At this time, Ling's voice suddenly sounded in Jang Ei's ears. What are you hiding from? As a body without spiritual essence, she has now handed over control of herself to Jang Ei. But just like a top-level artificial intelligence creature, it can still communicate with Jang Ei. Jang Ei subconsciously replied, Nonsense. Are you going to get beaten if you don't hide? But as soon as he finished speaking, Jang Ei suddenly fell silent. Ling stopped talking. Hide? Why hide? He is no longer Jang Ei now, but is controlling the body of a god-level guardian of civilization. This is a treasure that can fight against the body of the world's strongest creature, the Druk giant god. Even if it does not have any spiritual energy, it can be used as a unicorn bronze spear to make a group of bishop-level aliens cry for their parents. After Jang Ei dodged Junglu's attack, he took a look at the long sword in his hand. Ling's long sword was made with the most advanced technology of the Ihan tribe. The weapon itself cannot increase the combat power of the Inhuman much, but its performance is toughness and the ability to withstand huge energy output. Jang Ei suddenly understood. After Jang Ei dodged Junglu's attacks dozens of times, he once again gathered the power of Su Tianming in his hands and rushed straight towards Jang Ei. The power of his hands is concentrated, able to penetrate everything, like the sharpest sword, to chop the body of the enemy in front of him into pieces. But this time, facing his attack, Jang Ei did not run away. He calmed down and saw the multiple images of the second hand of time. Those were every movement that Junglu would make within 4 seconds, like old-fashioned animation slices. He clenched the ice dragon sword in both hands, activating the energy within his human body. Suddenly, a special field, centered on Jang Ei, spread out in all directions. Junglu only felt that his body was suddenly hindered by a force, and his movements became slow, as if his body was completely sunk into a huge swamp in the void. Swamp of time. Jang Ei rarely engages in close combat with the enemy, but that doesn't mean he is not good at it. The fusion of time and space abilities will form a huge space-time swamp around, reducing the movement speed of the locked target by more than 30%. The use of this ability was not within Junglu's expectations. So he was like a marathon runner running at full speed, but suddenly a banner blowing in the wind blocked his body, slowing him down. The faster the speed, the greater the impact. This also slowed down his attack. On the contrary, Jang Ei in front of him did not run away for the first time, but waved the ice-blue long sword in his hand in front of him. Plain and simple, just a very simple outpouring of energy. The energy with a supernatural power index of up to 55,000 points poured out like a tsunami, sweeping in like a torrent. Chapter 22, 04 Lend Me Your Power. In a flash, this power reached Junglu, whose movements were slowing down. In a hurry, Junglu could only forcibly fuse the energy of Su Tianming and try to split the deep blue torrent in front of him. There was a collision between the two forces, and of course an explosion occurred near his body. Ling's body could completely absorb the recoil of the force, but Junglu was directly shocked by the explosion of energy, and his blood was surging. The terrifying shockwave hit his body and threw him out, and finally, he hit the edge of the binding chain. Bang! A large number of binding chains were broken into pieces. Due to his misjudgment of Jang Ei's ability, Junglu suffered a heavy loss for the first time in their fight. Jang Ei would never let go of this opportunity, because he saw that cracks appeared on Junglu's body due to the blow, and strands of blood flowed out. It's not fatal, but it's not easy to bear. This time, he threw out dozens of ultraviolet boxes in one breath, and they exploded on the spot. Junglu's body felt even more uncomfortable because his wound was exposed to these highly powerful ultraviolet rays, which was as painful as if a human was sprinkling salt on the wound, and the recovery speed was extremely slow. And at this moment, Jang Ei decided to take action. It is no longer a dragging war of attrition because of the difficulty of opportunities. So he held the long sword in his hand horizontally, and in his left eye, light and shadow spiraled. Finally, after the white light disappeared, the pupil turned into an ancient pendulum. Of the 3 pointers on the pendulum, the second hand was slowly turning, and the pointer representing the minute hand also turned with a click. The minute hand of the hour, time stands still. One of Jang Ei's most powerful killing moves now is the moment in the sky. At this moment, Jang Ei was the only one moving in the entire world. Accelerating himself to the speed of light required him to bear a huge burden. Even with the protection of superpowers, the risk was extremely great. Jang Ei didn't dare to use this trick easily when dealing with Junglu, because he knew very well how strong the opponent's defense was. Therefore, in this attack, he held the knife in both hands and rushed to Junglu like an eternal stream of light. This knife pierced fiercely into the crack in his chest. The long knife pierced into the flesh, and Jang Ei felt like he was stabbing into a huge piece of granite. Every micron of progress was extremely difficult. Fortunately, he is now using Ling's human body. If it were his own body, his arms would probably have been shattered by now. Puff! In this eternal moment, the ice dragon sword finally pierced through Junglu's extremely tough body. After breaking the skin, it went straight into the flesh like a hot knife through butter. Finally, his long knife pierced Junglu's chest in one breath, piercing his heart through, passing through the gap between his ribs, and piercing out along his back. Time resumed its normal course, and when Junglu came to his senses, he was shocked to find that his chest was in severe pain, as if his heart had been pierced by something. But he soon discovered that this was not an illusion, but a real thing. His chest was cold, pierced by Jang Ei's long knife. The beautiful, yet cold woman looked at him indifferently. Junglu's pupils trembled violently. This was the first time in his life that he had suffered such a severe blow. The next moment, Jang Ei felt an extremely terrifying aura erupting in front of him. That was the feeling of a beast being truly enraged to the limit, wanting to fight for its life at all costs. Above Junglu's body, black energy swirled up like thick black smoke, covering his body. Like an evil ghost descended from hell, he let out an extremely shrill roar. Boom! Vast energy burst out from Junglu's body, and Jang Ei in front of him was the first to be hit hard by this force and was instantly blown away. Fortunately, Jang Ei had made preparations long ago and had been on guard carefully. And Ling was right. It was almost impossible for her body to be destroyed by any existing creature in this world. Apart from the giant Druk, who else could harm her body? Even if this is just a body she left behind in the human world and is no longer wanted, it is not something that the little people of the Wolon tribe can hurt. Jang Ei was blown away. Ling's human body absorbed almost all the power, and Jang Ei was not hurt at all. He stared at Junglu, his expression becoming indifferent. Junglu's right hand touched his left chest, his breath became extremely dangerous, and his breathing became rapid. He covered his chest, raised his head, and looked at Jang Ei coldly. The black energy seemed to have turned into a devil's armor, and his eyes became ferocious. "You don't think you can kill me like this, do you?" Even though his heart was pierced, Junglu did not seem to be in danger of death. When life reaches this level, the word human can no longer describe it. Well, lizard people are also human. In ancient times, he would be called a god. Jang Ei said calmly, "I know. Killing a night-level alien is not that easy. But it doesn't matter." He smiled brightly, as if everything was under control. "I've got what I wanted." He raised the long knife in his hand, which was stained with mottled green blood. Then, Jang Ei stretched out his left hand and took out a wooden puppet doll from the alien's base. The black ember is carved into the shape of the gatekeeper of the underworld and is tied with a red rope. Junglu didn't know what that thing was, but the moment he took it out, he suddenly felt a strong evil thought. It was as if countless dead souls, unwilling to return to the world of ether due to strong resentment, were entangled around the puppet doll in the form of evil spirits. This is the power of the curse. Jang Ei slowly dripped the blood from the knife onto the puppet doll's head. He murmured, "Ho Tu, let me see your power." After saying this, he reached out and untied the red rope that bound the puppet. Thousands of miles away is the Huashu Kingdom, Shengjing City. Ho Tu was dressed in a black dress and sat in the center of the Earth Temple. Many white jade chips were placed around her, while Ho Tu Guanlongyue closed her eyes, as if she was comprehending something. Suddenly, a roar of thunder was heard in the sky above the Earth Temple. Boom! It was as if a vicious dragon was roaring in the sky, and the originally cloudless sky suddenly became overcast. Thick black clouds formed a huge vortex above the Earth Temple, spinning continuously. This movement alarmed many people in Shengjing, but Meng Yuanjun just took a glance and ordered everyone not to be nervous. He was already familiar with this feeling. Over the years, Shengjing City has used Ho-Tu's abilities to eliminate many enemies and those who disobeyed the will of the Shengjing region's top leaders. Stay with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.